Well, here to discuss that and more of today's news stories, we're joined by Sonia Soda, Simon McCoy and Camilla Tominey. So let's start off with this, what we've just seen there. I mean, it is extraordinary. I mean, I always try and find some sort of positive to it, but you feel like you just can't quite believe what you're hearing and seeing.
I know.
It doesn't seem real.
Well, part of it is unbelievable because you think, have you got more to say? I mean, we've had all this on Oprah, but obviously there are multi-million reasons why they're doing this documentary, Holly.
However, lots of people do tell their story a gazillion times over and over.
I know, but the idea of
platforms.
saying only we know the full story, well, only they know their side of their story. But, of course, there's always another side to every story.
Yeah,
every story has two sides, and the other side aren't going to have a right of reply because they're not going to be filming a Netflix documentary or going on Oprah.
Is there a possibility here, just to try and look at it from a different perspective?
Go for it, Phil, yeah.
that all of that is slightly out of context because it's a big sell. They want to sell it. We're all going to sit down and watch it, and when it happens, and when we watch it, we think, oh, that's what you were talking about, and it's not actually the knife job we think it might be.
I mean, it's a promotional trailer, right? So it needs to have something very cleverly edited to get everyone talking, and that's exactly what they've achieved. Not with this one as well as the last one, OK? With both. But I mean, it seems extraordinary to me to be projecting this image of the truth when the trailer itself contains a load of misleading information. Yeah. You know, some of the footage has been shot in the US, not UK.
Point out these things. So one shot shows journalists waiting outside Katie Price's court appearance last year.
Nothing to do with
this
Harry
is
and
media
Meghan.
harassment, nothing to do with the Sussex. Another shows cameras surrounding a limo before the trailer cuts to his tearful Meghan. The passenger in that limo was, in fact, Donald Trump's ex-lawyer. It then showed a swarm of press photographers at the Harry Potter film premiere 5 years before the couple had even met. Do documentaries do this? Well, I mean, do they have stock footage that edits into all things and we just don't know it because we don't have the evidence because no one's bothered to go
This may be a Netflix producer's problem rather than a Harry and Meghan problem.
Yeah.
But in that clip you just played, Harry says, the royal family, it's a hierarchy. Who knew?
Yeah.
You know, of course it is. There are so many aspects to this, and then it's the words war and hate that are coming through on this, and this is the real damaging aspect of this, that there is a vendetta being paid, there's a revenge being played out here, which we are all being sucked into. And the role of the media needs to be looked into this as well, because, you know, it's on every front page this morning. And I don't know how you two feel, but there is a
reason. I mean, because we're talking about
the reason is, but that's why. And maybe we need to have a look at how we're approaching this, because why are we giving them the attention that they crave? They've gone to America saying they want privacy, and here we are once again, this is the fifth time I think I've been on this sofa talking about these two. Yeah. And we are becoming obsessed with them at the expense of A, the institution, the monarchy, and B, the king and his...
Let's come back to that, because I want to go back to those apparently inaccurate shots that have been used. And is it possible that that's part of a wider section of the documentary about media, alleged media paparazzi intrusion, and that's an illustration, rather than it be a glaring issue that, hang on a second, did you not think that we were going to spot that's the wrong footage?
Well, that's possible, but the thing is that all of these clips were carefully edited together in a trailer where Harry and Meghan are talking about their story. So I think it's inevitable. I mean, this is one of the biggest sort of Netflix events of the last 5 years. It was inevitable that people were going to look at the trailer, scrutinise it, see what clips were being portrayed. And whether it was intentional or not, it looks very misleading, because if you've got two people saying that they're telling their story and then you've got bits of clips in this trailer that's actually got nothing to do with them, I think it does leave them in quite a weak position,
also,
frankly.
The bigger picture is, you're talking about a feeding frenzy. He's now feeding the frenzy. They are self-promoting because they want money and they want revenge.
I've just seen 6 episodes.
Yeah, so we get 3 this Thursday and then another 3 next Thursday. Some of the images, there's an image taken from a rooftop of them carrying Archie. It's at Desmond Tutu's residence. That was taken with their authorisation. It was an official pool position. There's another photograph of the Buckingham Palace balcony, which has been deliberately skewed to make it look like they're marginalised. Having covered how many troopings over the years, if you actually look at that image front on, the Queen's always in the middle and the Sussexes and the Cambridges are equidistant from her. So again, what the couple seem to be saying is, you know, everything changed. But is the documentary going to discuss why everything changed? Because the public perception changed because the private perception of them changed. You know, around the time that they say things changed for them after their wedding in May 2018, well, unbeknownst to the media, even though we were hearing stories of their alleged bad behaviour behind palace walls, a bullying complaint was submitted. So I like that we hear from their lawyer, who they pay by the hour to defend them, and we hear from Christopher Boozy, who did an interesting report into the trolling of Meghan. He's never investigated the trolling of journalists who have covered this without fear or favour, but no matter. Are we going to hear from any of the members of the staff that allege wrongdoing?
But you guys, and they must know, that if there are these shots that appear to make them marginalised and you look at it front on and they're all equidistant, and if there are other areas where you, as the press, can say, this is not true, then for the rest of the minute that starts, then that blows the entire credibility of the documentary series.
You know, I remember being on this sofa back when Oprah came out, and, you know, we're completely sullied. And I said at the time, there are grotesque inconsistencies in this, and lo and behold, they come out within a few days. You know, actually, he's talking about, in his other guise as a kind of misinformation czar, he's talking about inaccuracies and disinformation and a lack of a right of reply. But what does this trailer suggest? That he's guilty of what he's accusing the mainstream media of. I mean, thanks to the mainstream media, we will be able, on Thursday, to separate the wheat from the chaff here, fact-check it, and see whether some of these claims actually stand up. That's the job of a free press.
Now, I mean, is there any coming back from this? I mean, the relationship on both sides, I imagine. How do you come back from something
let's
like this?
There may be some good to come out of this, because if it's putting a focus on racism within the media, within the royal family, that is something that perhaps needs to be discussed. I think things have changed dramatically since they departed this country. Also, this comparison with how his mother was treated, which is his obsession. I was a royal correspondent during the Diana years. The media changed dramatically after that. Lots of lessons were learned. Meghan never put up with what Diana
no paparazzi
in
shot.
any way.
Can anyone name a paparazzi shot that was taken covertly of the couple in this country that was published in a national newspaper?
There was like comparisons at the time between how Kate was being treated and how she was being treated.
Holly, even the footage of Kate.
I'm saying this because I'm trying to offer another side to this, because I don't like anyone who's not here.
The truth of the matter is, and I work on a national newspaper and I have covered the royal family since 2005, the absolute truth of this matter is there is no market for royal paparazzi shots anymore. Like post-Leveson, you don't see any pictures of the children. You don't see any pictures of the couple in private. And actually, as far as viewers are concerned, quite rightly, the Diana years were too intrusive. So this idea that they were treated like... They were living in the middle of Windsor Great Park in a Grade 2 listed mansion, completely unbothered. Compared to LA, which still remains the Wild West, as far as the paparazzi is concerned, it's positively civilised.
Sunny.
What I was going to say was, I mean, I agree with all of that, but I do think you can sort of look at who Harry is, look at what happened to his mother, and you can sort of, understand why he's projecting. I don't think he ever got over the way that he and his brother were treated after the death of his mother and all of the fallout from over that. And, we know people can carry that sort of trauma for decades afterwards. So I suspect, I think there's the worst faith way of looking at this. And then I think the good faith way of looking at this is actually these are probably two quite damaged people who found their way to each other and they're sort of lashing out. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's appropriate. I think it makes the public lose a lot of sympathy for them. But I think, the best way of looking at it is that Prince Harry has sort of lost perspective of this a bit. But it is to do with what happened when his mother died.
On the point of his mother, and he says that about women marrying into this institution, and he talks about kind of princesses being pitted against princesses. Why then did they allow in the first trailer, if they did have any control over it, which I'm assuming they did, because their production arm at Archwell is involved in this documentary heavily, right? I mean, why then do they use an image of the Princess of Wales looking daggers, which incidentally was taken from a Commonwealth Day service in 2019? It wasn't even the Megxit Commonwealth Day service. So they're kind of painting Kate as the villain and in the trailer pitting her against Meghan.
Is the danger for them
sense.
here?
No.
I mean, I think it was the
understand
Daily Express that said their headline was, "Why would you do this to your family?" And this is no question that it's harming everybody. And I think that there was a...
Well, hang on, it's not harming Meghan. I mean...
No.
It's harming
Harming
Harry.
the family.
Yes.
Harming the family, because
Yeah.
I think
about that.
there was a poll of William and Kate's popularity in America was incredibly high and is now considerably lower post this, and they've just had their trip to Boston, which was overshadowed by a number of things. But as far as they are concerned, is there a real danger here that this turns into the inaccuracies of the Crown?
Well, maybe. I mean, any inaccuracies that come up are going to be easily checked, OK? As the inconsistencies in Oprah were, inconsistencies about what they claimed about the race row, inconsistencies about having passports taken away and then flying around the world, etc., OK? Those are the obvious things. When it comes to family relations, how do people think that the relatives can deal with them if the whole time when they've been together for platinum jubilees or funerals, the relatives have been conscious that the pair are making a documentary, which includes unauthorised photography taken within palaces, and are writing a book? If you knew a relative was writing a book about you, would you be sitting down for a cosy round table discussing all of your problems? Or would you perhaps be wondering if the next thing you know, your entire conversation is going to end up on a US breakfast show?
Particularly when you yourself are suffering grief. The King only recently buried his mother. This Christmas is going to be very, very difficult for any family that suffers a loss like that. And that is going to be totally overshadowed now by this dagger at the heart of the royal family from within.
I just think at the end of the day, it's really, really sad because after the Queen's death, Harry and Meghan came back.
We saw them together.
It looked like there may be a bit of a rapprochement. From what we've heard, they were trying to sort of push back the publication of the book and this documentary. I'm sure they, who knows, they may already have regrets. But I just think it's really sad because I think you're right, Philip. There's just going to be no trust there anymore, and I think it probably really does ruin any chances of, a bit of a warming up of relations.
So just down our line then, just to wrap this part of the story up, and obviously this is something that's going to be talked about so much. I'm actually annoyed that we're not going to be on the telly when it comes out, so we can analyse it. Yeah,
I'm really annoyed by that.
But
we could bring you in if you want to.
No, I just want to sit. I just want to sit and talk to you about it.
Yeah, all right.
This is the thing.
Well, I shall be binge watching it on Thursday. So.
Yeah. What? Oh, we're on Friday though. What does this mean? What's the next endgame?
I don't know what it means. I mean, I think actually, interestingly, Simon, I think you were in the US and I spoke to somebody else this morning who was in the US and said actually the Wales' Earthshot Prize wiped the floor with any of the coverage of the Netflix documentary in America. We seem to be more focused on Harry and Meghan and the Lady Susie Hussey thing. People are going to be making a choice, right? Do they subscribe to reality TV royals or real ones? And as far as I can tell in Britain, it's the latter, OK? There's a respect for actually William and Kate maintaining a quiet dignity here, because the more reasonable the royals seem in the face of all this, I think the more unreasonable the Sussexes seem, and that doesn't play well with the public.
Kate seems to love her role in the royal family as well.
Well, she's
if I was her, I'd be like, don't speak on my behalf.
It's interesting.
Doing a brilliant job.
On the PR front,
right? She puts best foot forward.
Yeah.
On the PR front, everybody's been saying Harry and Meghan have been stealing the show. I'm not sure that's true. I think Harry and Meghan have just lost the PR battle, perhaps permanently now, because I think this may be the moment. They've made a lot of money out of this, but this may be the moment we all go. There's no more we know. We know more about those two than I know about my own family. We just get to the point where, OK, you've done your best, you've done the damage that you can do, go away.
I think they've had very bad PR advice, and I just think they're gonna regret this in the years to come.
No, that's very sad. We're going to have to leave that there, but as Camilla said, we will be talking about this again, no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you very much.